Hey guys, what's up? So a lot of you guys have asked me what is one of the most difficult things, or really, you guys always ask me to share my thoughts on working in a corporate environment. Since a lot of you guys, you're learning on your own, you're trying to get in and everything and want to know what it's like. And there's so many things that you could possibly talk about, and I can't do that in one video, but I can certainly talk about different things, that I've experienced along the way. But one of the biggest issues that always seems to stand out in any sort of corporate environment is communication. Especially, typically IT departments, especially within a business, if a business actually has like a business purpose and then they have an IT department to fulfill that business purpose, and you're going to have people like business analysts that are involved in and basically looking out for what's in the best interest of the business itself, but they may not be the most technically inclined people out there. So in many cases, they don't have any technology experience at all, but they're writing, business requirements and things that they need to have done. And then you end up having systems analysts and also there's like Six Sigma, the people that are like almost like a business analyst, but also have some systems level experience where they look at processes and how those processes can be broken down into the most efficient way to save the company efficiency and time and all that stuff. And so you have all these different moving parts, and then like I said, the systems analysts, and then the systems analysts typically aren't going to be the ones actually testing the actual code. So you're going to have actual testing departments, and sometimes those can be overseas or whatever. But and that's not even counting then if you're in like an agile methodology where you're trying to release software as quickly as possible. You're on different development teams of usually a handful of developers and analysts that are evaluating requirements and what needs to be done. And I can talk about the agile process more in following videos, but and the situation of communication across all these different teams, I mean, it's always a problem because a lot of the things that I just mentioned can also be broken up into different areas of the business itself. So there can just be a ton of confusion when it comes to, figuring out what really should be done in order to satisfy the business. Because in IT, that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to satisfy some sort of business so that they can save money or get more customers or, obviously have some sort of benefit. So, figuring out like how to actually get that stuff initiated and completed is just a huge headache. And a lot of it has to do with siloed development as well, because they're going to be, in most cases when you're developing new software, there's going to be teams that you have to work with that you don't normally work with, and those teams could be responsible for different pieces of functionality that the business has available to them. So like if you were equating it to like building a car, then obviously there's going to be teams that are like focused on different parts of the engine because they understand those parts better than other people, and they're like these subject matter experts that you would end up interacting with to say, hey, I need to extend this new piece, this air filter kind of thing that attaches to the engine, but I need the engine to do this, and this, and send me this, and this, so that it actually work. And you would think it would be some sort of simple thing, but sometimes in the organization, it's hard as hell to even find out who you need to speak to even figure out, what sort of rules you need to abide by in order to actually communicate with that engine, effectively. And most of the time, and I say an engine is like in a nutshell, because really it's going to be broken up into tons of different teams if you equated it to an actual car engine that has so many different moving parts and responsibilities that, it's just, there's a lot of confusion, like I said, just across teams, and that's because of siloed development, and that's just naturally going to exist because certain people are better trained to handle certain pieces of functionality. Obviously, you're not going to have a .NET developer working on a bunch of Java-related services. I mean, you would probably, think that wouldn't be the case. I mean, sometimes we have all kinds of different roles in smaller companies, but for the most part, companies want to focus their associates on what they do best, if you're a UI guy or something like that. But that is one of my examples of something that, is constantly challenging, because then also in IT, it's very multicultural as well. So you're going to have a lot of people from different that were natively born in different countries. Sometimes, you're trying to get past accents or just even cultural differences. I mean, there's certain people that, you work with them, but they don't have the same interests as somebody that was, growing up in America their whole life. They might, in some cases they do, some cases they don't. But I've worked with people before where it's like kind of hard to connect with them personally, or that, they're, and it's just natural because, obviously everybody has different culture and things like that. So that can also be a challenge, though, with communication, with also building trust and having a fun working relationship with somebody. Like if you feel like you can't, tell a joke to somebody because they're always straight-faced and serious, it makes it a little bit more difficult, I think, to work with them. So you guys can take in the view. I'm in the middle of the woods. A lot of you guys ask me where I live. I live in the state of Virginia in the United States, just south of Washington, D.C. So here is, I'm actually walking around a national park, or it's at least a federally protected woodlands. There used to be this major battle that actually occurred here back in the 1800s, where they were killing each other all through these woods. So that's pretty interesting. In fact, actually, in the American Civil War, this area right here was the site of probably the biggest embarrassment the North had faced, because in 1862, so 1862, there was the Battle of Fredericksburg, where the North was trying to attack the town of Fredericksburg, which was occupied by the South. And they were just obliterated, like all across the fronts, with Lee and Stonewall Jackson and General Longstreet and all those guys, and they obliterated the North's attack, and that's where like the Fighting Irish name, I think, probably originated out of the Battle of Gettysburg. But in 1862, they sent the Irish brigades in against Longstreet at Marye's Heights, and it was just a complete annihilation. You can see it's kind of swampy out here. So this particular battle, though, after that embarrassment at Fredericksburg, this is 1862. Lincoln has no idea when the war is going to end, and it's becoming apparent to everybody that the war is going to take a lot longer than anybody imagined. It was going to be a war of attrition, as Ulysses Grant had said. And in late 1862, here at Chancellorsville, the South was actually, they pulled out of Fredericksburg because they were worried that I think it was Joseph Pickett or somebody from the North was actually attacking in this area, or he was trying to cross the Rappahannock River in this area. And Lee and Stonewall Jackson, even though they're outnumbered about 3-1, they split their forces and met them here. And Lee, I think, attacked head first, while Stonewall Jackson and his men flanked, and it was a complete rout of the North. And it was and they were outnumbered, like I said, 3-1, and they completely routed them. It wasn't even close. And that was really a telling point for the North, because I think there was even doubts that they could even win the war at that point. And it was definitely an embarrassment. But later, at this area, actually, right around this area, Stonewall Jackson ends up losing his life, actually, because he gets shot by his own men by accident. So that was the first major blow of the South. And then they ended up trying to take the entire armed forces and go up to and invade the North, and ended up facing the Northern Army at Gettysburg. And that's kind of where the tide of the battle really turned. Once the South lost at Gettysburg, there was no way they could win, and it was just complete withdrawal action. They kept withdrawing one after another, after each battle. But the difference was that Ulysses S. Grant, the Northern general at the time, never gave Lee any time to actually, basically lick his wounds and be prepared to fight another day. He just kept attacking one after another. So even though he was butchering his own men, he was doing what needed to be done in order to win the war, and ultimately that's what happened. But you know, this site was home of a major embarrassment. So that's my little history lesson for today. All right, guys, man, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about. That is just one thing. I mean, the communication, I could probably really micro focus on that, but you know, that's boring as hell, honestly. I mean, how many ways can you say that you often work on something and you realize later into the project that you have that the requirements were all wrong and that you're never going to go to production with what you had been working on? It happens every now and then. Hopefully not that often, but it does happen. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Have a good day, and please subscribe. Bye. Hey guys, so a lot of you ask me, how do I get my foot in the door to become a programmer? And I just want to take a moment to mention Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp is a 12-week intensive course that focuses on the technologies of the here and now for web development. Some of the things that they're actually teaching in this 12-week course, it's geared to get you into the industry by focusing on things like jQuery, Node.js, React, Angular, how to use GitHub. So a lot of the things that you're going to need to do as a developer, as soon as you start, they're going to be teaching you in this coding bootcamp. And the entire goal is to be able to get you into the industry within 12 weeks. So if you guys are interested in learning more information about Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp, just check out the link in the description tab of this video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.